All right, so this is JumpStart IT Academy, and we have a special guest today who's going to be presenting some information. Now, JumpStart IT Academy, we focus on technology and teaching technology professionals, specifically new technology professionals, to join into technology and transitioning professionals from other industries. Now, after we make all this technology money, one of the questions people ask is, what do we do with this money now that we have it? So we have a special guest on here. This is DJ, the Money Coach, and I'll let him give a brief introduction of what he brings to the table for us tech professionals.
Oh, absolutely. First and foremost, Chris, I want to say thank you for having me on your show, man. I've been following you with Erica Williams for several months, and you guys are doing a great job. And I wish I was as smart as you guys are to be in the technology field, man, but I didn't get blessed with that type of, intelligence. Mine's a couple of levels lower, but it all works out at the end of the day. So if people don't know me, I'm DJ, the Money Coach, and my story is just like most of the people that you come in contact with. You help Chris. I started out, went to college, to go become a CPA, and I partied my way out of my first college at the age of 19. And I looked up, got kicked out of my house. My mom and dad was like, "You're cut off," and I had to go get a job. And then I put myself back into college, and paid my own way. And then after I graduated from college with a minor in accounting, didn't do the CPA, but got a minor in accounting, and actually had got my degree in broadcast journalism and television production.
Wow.
And then I started working in corporate America. And once I worked in corporate America for a couple of years, Chris, I started making some professional income. I think it was maybe $60,000, $70,000 a year. And I went to go apply for my first house, and I got turned down. And I didn't get turned down because I didn't have the deposit. I got turned down because, unbeknownst to me, Chris, I didn't realize that I had a 525 credit score, and I didn't realize that I had $60,000 worth of consumable debt with my student loans. Now, I look very young, ladies and gentlemen, but actually this was back in the late 90s, okay? So I'm telling you a story of truth that actually goes back to like 92, 94, all right? So this in the analog world. So my debt today would be almost like $150,000 if you would do it relative to taxation and inflation. Everything doubles every 10 years. So after I got turned down, Chris, for that mortgage, I was discouraged, but I didn't let that slow me down. I kept working, and then I started becoming an entrepreneur. And about 3 years later, I went back to the same bank and I applied for a business loan, and I got turned down again.
Wow.
At that point, I'll be honest with you, I was devastated. I was thinking about playing the victim role, but then I thought about it. I asked them, why was I being turned down? I had probably $60,000, $80,000 in the bank in addition to other things. And they say, hey, man, here's the facts. You got a 525 credit score. You owe this amount of money. You haven't paid it, and there's no way we can give you a business loan. And I said, okay, all right. So I picked up a book called The Road to Wealth, and I read the chapter just about personal financing. And the irony of this is, Chris, is that if you would have given me a test about business, profit and loss, K1s, debits, credits, because that's what I did in the corporate world, I would have aced that 9 times out of 10. But personal finance, I was clueless. So I actually just started signing my name to credit cards just to get stuff to get through college and start just spending money because I had no idea what money meant. So I actually read that book chapter on personal finance, and in 12 months, my credit score went from 525 to 700. 24 months from that. Now, this is in the analog days when you still had to go to the library. It wasn't the access to the internet. So I need to make sure people understand that, okay? Because you technology guys, right? So in 24 months, my credit score rose to 800. And in 2002, I paid off all of my debt. I did not file bankruptcy. I paid it all back because nobody put a gun in my head to sign up for the credit cards. And then in 2008, 6 years later, I became a 6-figure income earner through business, real estate, and leveraging the tax laws. The only reason why I know this, Chris, is because I actually got audited by the IRS.
Whoa.
I actually didn't know how much money I knew I was making good money, but I didn't know I was making that much money. So the IRS told me, hey, I made over $250,000 personally, and I had 7 figures in revenue because they came to my door to give me an audit bill. But they tried to charge me like $60,000 in taxes because they said I wasn't paying my self-employment tax. But my CPA was able to take care of it. Yep.
Remember that happened to Red Fox. So you were right around that time.
Yeah, absolutely. So at that point, I paid everything off. I went and got involved in the financial service industry, and I got my securities license. I got every license that I needed to help people finance. And then I started teaching financial education in my church. And then once I started teaching in my church, people started getting out of consumer debt. I started helping them raise their credit scores. In the process of that happening, my mother was a victim of predatory lending and a victim of identity theft within a 5-year period of time.
Wow.
So I was able to get rid of my debt, help my mother out, start working in my church, Chris. And then people started hearing about me. I started teaching financial education called Faith, Love, and Money to major churches in Chicagoland. And then the YMCA heard about me. And then they hired me to do financial education for the executive directors for 3 YMCAs. And after that, we come fast forward, I've sat down with over 25,000 people, and I've actually done presentations to over 100,000 in 20 years. Wow. So that's my story, and my passion is to help people with consumer education and teach them how to create businesses, invest in real estate, and leverage the tax laws and be certified entrepreneurs like yourself.
That's exceptional, man. Like I did a, you know, I checked your website, and, you know, before I even signed up, I don't know if you know, I'm a client too.
Oh no, I didn't know that, man.
Yes, sir. I can't wait to meet with you, because see, you know, a lot of people, when they get into money culture or stuff like that, they usually specifically focus on just people who want to, you know, get their personal finances. But I looked at what you were doing. You're not even looking just at the personal finances. You're like, level up in any area you want. You want to level up and build a business and scale. And I'm just like, hey, this is the guy I need on my team. So I'm really excited to have you on the platform.
Man, that's you know what, now I think about it, I saw a receipt for Chris Johnson, and I thought it was somebody else. I didn't know that was you, man.
No, sir, that was me.
Oh, well, I look forward to helping you out, my friend. Well,
thank you.
That's amazing. You know, it's so funny. My manager and my systems CIO, we just got off the phone with a Zoom call, just like the interview we're doing with you with Chase Bank. And they were actually in our master class last Wednesday. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but this is what they told us when they evaluated our program. They have a 15-year expert that actually does commercial real estate, business banking, personal finance. And he said, we got the best program in the country. And he's been doing business with 50 million, 100 million, $2 million companies for the last 15 years. And he hadn't seen a better program than he's seen in ours.
Wow, man,
So,
I can't wait to get started. You know, I was like, because you had reached out to me, you know, and I saw you on Erica's channel, and I said, man, I got to get in touch with this guy. I got to figure out how I can level myself up too, because, you know, I'm in a startup, and I'm in a stage, and I heard you in some of your interviews where you were talking about entrepreneurship and how you need to structure and how you need to have systems. And I'm looking at myself like, you know, like I'm, you know, made out of wood. I'm like, I want to be a real boy one day.
hey, man. Hey, Chris, it's funny you say that. I remember my first startup, man, and I felt the same way, man. You talking about nervous, you talking about scared. I remember I quit my job, and I just like, you know what, man, I can't take it anymore working for somebody. I'm just not a work for somebody guy. And instead of consulting with anybody, Chris, I just quit my 6-figure income job, cold turkey, sold my house, moved into a 1-bedroom apartment, man. And I didn't get any business for about 6 months, man. And you talking about one of the hardest times of your life, but it also was the best thing because it actually showed me how to help entrepreneurs like yourself. And that's when I figured out that there's systems that entrepreneurs need to have to run businesses like McDonald's and Subway. They're all the same once you have a system. So selfishly, I found CPAs. And then selfishly, I found attorneys. Then I found mortgage bankers. Then I found real estate investment advisors to advise me on my personal portfolio. And then when I look back and I compared it to systems of franchise, I said, whoa, man, this is something that's missing in the middle class America. And I said, here's the big problem, Chris, is that you and I are too educated to work with the Walmart services of the world. I want to make sure people hear what I just said. We're too educated to work with the Walmart, you know, businesses of the world. Meaning you're not going to want to go get Walmart to do your taxes because they do tax returns. People don't realize that. But that's low-level tax, you know, planning. Okay. That's like getting your neighbor to do it. I'm just being honest with you. Okay. Because I've been doing this for 20 years. Also used to be a president of an accounting firm and a technology side. So I know technology a little bit. I've got a very vast, you know, 20 years of entrepreneurship. So when I looked at that, I said, here it is. I got a degree. I've got all these securities license. I want to work with UBS. I want to work with Goldman Sachs. But you know what? I didn't have that kind of paper. Even though I had the education, I didn't have the paper, Chris, and the kind of paper you needed for them to even knock on your door was at least 5 million liquid. So I didn't have that. So then I did the research and I found out there's 40 million people in America that are working middle class that have the same situation that you and I and your people have. Is that they're too educated, that they're not going to get Walmart services, but they're not have enough liquid money to actually have UBS, Merrill Lynch, or Goldman Sachs to work with them. And I found a niche. And in that niche, Chris, I actually created this system. It's called the 7 spheres of money system. So what you end up seeing is I went out and recruited accountants. I went out and recruited insurance agents, bankers, estate planners, financial planners, legal, and all that stuff. And I got it trademarked with my attorney. And ever since, I've been teaching the 7 spheres of money system to organizations. I've taught for the Montgomery Regional Airport 2019 in Alabama. Me and my partners, we did all their financial education from the CEO to the janitor.
Wow.
I did all the financial education for the state attorney general's young prosecutors in Illinois. For all their new prosecutors, I did all their financial education plans back in 2006 and 2007. I also did all the financial education for RC Cola back in 2005. Also worked with Fannie Mae Candy. So just letting your organization know that I'm not a YouTuber. I actually run a real bricks and mortar business. And in the process of learning the stuff that I didn't know, Chris, every time I saw something that I needed, I went out and hired or recruited a seasoned veteran to work with me. And then I helped them work with our members of our program.
Wow. What do you find is a gap when you meet with the common person that you said was too smart, but these companies won't? What would you say is like the biggest, you know how they said like a gap fill? What would you say is the most common gap that you see in these people financially?
Well, the most common gap is that they literally have low financial IQs. I hate to say that. And here's the reason why is because we're indoctrinated to go to school and take on inordinate amount of debt, assuming that we're going to pay it off with our first professional job. So they go through life naive, not even thinking about the amount of debt that they're racking up. And then all of a sudden they hit them like a shovel of bricks. And so when they sit down for the first time and they have that real life experience, they start getting that mortgage in their house. Here's the biggest mistake that we make as young professionals, and especially in our community. So I'm talking to the Black community right now, unapologetically. So our peers, they don't realize that our peers, they actually have their grandparents and their parents that already paid for their student loan, give them down payment to their house. With us, we're usually first-time college graduates in our family, and we have to carry the people behind us. So we pull all that debt. I may make, Chris, you may make $120,000 a year, and your opposite peer may make $80,000, but he got a $500,000 house, and you're saying, how in the hell he got a $500,000 house? So you know what you do? You go to the bank with your $120,000 and your 780 credit score, and you say, I want the $500,000 house. And the bank says, yeah, I'll overextend you. So they give you the loan. Then your boss tells you, hey, Chris, you need to upgrade your car, man, because that's not professional driving a Camry. You need to have a Lexus LS 500. And then you go get that Lexus LS 500. Now you got the appearance of wealth, the $500,000 house, the $80,000 car, and you still looking at, you know, Bob over here that got the same thing, but Bob made $40,000 less than you, and you still kind of mad. But you don't realize that Bob came to the table with no debt, grandparents' inheritance, and parents paying for everything. And you think you on the same. Bob's got middle class wealth. You got middle class income. I'm gonna say that again.
Wow.
Bob's got middle class wealth. You got middle class income. That's the biggest gap. Let me give your people a book right now. It's a case study that they need to read so they don't think I'm just making this up. It's called The Hidden Cost of Being African American by Dr. Shapiro. I'm gonna say it again. It's called The Hidden Cost of Being African American by Dr. Shapiro. This book is a case study on Blacks, whites, and Hispanics based on generational wealth versus middle income. And it was written in 1998. If you read that book, it will change your mind and you will stop competing against them, because you're not competing against them 1-to-1. You're competing against them 1-to-10, because they're coming to the table with 4 or 5 generations of middle wealth, and you're coming to the table with middle income.
Because we just get out, you know what I mean? We just got out of.
Exactly.
I mean, for me, I was like, I tell people I was eating syrup sandwiches. So I got out of the hood hungry. I was happy when I got in the military and I was eating 3 times a day.
Exactly.
So you get into the professional world, everything you're saying,
yep,
happened to me.
That's exactly correct. So now what we got to do is we got to retrain our brains, and we now started click down the consumerism and start clicking up the businessism. Okay. And what I mean by that, first, attack our debt wherever it is. Don't avoid it. Attack it. Stop going in forbearance and all that, because all that's doing is pushing it out further and further. And what you don't know, this is what my grandfather taught me, Chris. He says, the big print giveth, the little print take it away. What does that mean? You ever watch a pharmaceutical commercial? They tell you all the great things that the drug can do for you, and then at the end, they talking like vomit coming out of their mouth, all the bad things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what you got to do is pay attention to the big print and start paying down, because any in forbearance, they don't stop the accrual of the interest. They actually charge fees on it to get out, because why they gonna do something for you for free?
Yeah, you brought their money.
Exactly. And guess what we've happened in the pandemic? People who didn't even need to go into forbearance, just because they got the ability to stop making payments, they took the forbearance and they actually did themselves a disservice, because now there were 7 million people that got into forbearance at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, still 7 million people still in forbearance in 2022.
So they just went to softer chains.
Exactly.
Or a longer chain in their debt slavery.
And then here's what happens, Chris, is when they want to get out of the forbearance, that little fine print says, oh, there's a fee attached to me letting you not make payments for 24 months. And you didn't see that. Same trick with student loans. There's a fee. So you got to read the fine print before you do anything. So those are the major gaps in our community, but we can reverse that trend. I tell people, Chris, as long as you got your health, I could take you from $250,000 of debt in 2 to 5 years, make you consumer debt free, 800 credit score, and get you $8,333 a month in passive income if you're willing to do these 4 dirty little words. Number 1, discipline. Number 2, accountability. Number 3, plug into the winning system, the 7 spheres of money. And number 4, put your head down and do the work. And then if we put the intangibles aside by that, Chris, check it out. P, 4 Ps. I call them the 4 Ps, the 4x4s. So the first P, professionalism. What does that mean? Speak the King's English. Wear the right uniform when you're trying to present yourself. If this meeting, you interviewing me, you told me 5 p.m. Central Time, I don't show up at 5 p.m. I show up at 10 minutes before, because the lights go on at 5 p.m. That makes sense?
Yes,
the
sir.
Second P, persistence. Attack a goal with persistence. The third P is the hardest one. This is intestinal fortitude, perseverance, because nothing's always going to come to us on our time. It comes on God's time. And then the last one is perform. When you get that sliver opportunity, be prepared. And if you are, that ain't got nothing to do with the color of your skin. That ain't got nothing to do with the size of your body, your gender, nothing. These are the intangibles that are successful principles of success, Chris.
Let the church say amen. I'm with that right there.
That's a good one, man. I gotta remember that. So that's what we try to do for our people, Chris. And what we're excited about is that when you're working with technology professionals and they start making that real money, they should have a plan and they should have a corporation. So just like yourself, and they shouldn't by default go to an LLC all the time, because the LLC is not always the necessary best vehicle. And let me explain to you why. Remember I told you the IRS audited me? They audited me because they said I didn't pay self-employment tax or Social Security tax. But the reality is I didn't have to, because I was an employee of my company. I want people to catch that. You don't have to be an employee to your company to make money with your company. I'll give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count. Let me ask you this. Warren Buffett, you know who that is?
Yes, sir.
Now, Warren Buffett probably owns 1,000 companies. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Do you think he's employed himself to them 1,000 companies?
I read most of his books. Nope.
No.
Management in place.
He's just the owner. And guess what? As an owner, you can take this little secret called dividends. And if you take dividends, you ain't never got to be employed by the company you own. And you can get paid tax-free for the rest of your life.
Whoa, man, that was the ticking time bomb right there.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it again. So when you set up an LLC, LLCs are generated for two basic reasons. I'm gonna give you two. I'm not giving anybody financial advice. Let me make that clearly. I'm just telling you the facts as a financial educator. Okay. When people get LLCs, they do it primarily for two basic reasons. Number one, for the protection. Limited liability company. That's what it's called. So if I invest $1,000 in it, Chris, and somebody sues me, all they can get is $1,000. Now, the second advantage that they use is so they can run it through their personal taxes and get the write-offs. Now, when they do that, that automatically triggers two additional taxes that you're not aware of: Social Security tax and unemployment tax. That's 15%. But me, I opened up corporations, limited partnerships, S-corps, and I don't work for them. I just own them. So my revenues automatically give me plus 15 because I don't have to pay unemployment tax and I don't have to pay Social Security tax. Because like Warren Buffett, I'm the owner, i.e. the investor, and I'm a shareholder, not an employee, not a 1099.
Man, you found the cheat code. You found you hacked it. As we would say in technology, you hacked it.
There you go. And guess what? I hacked that back in 2002.
Man.
So I've been teaching people, Chris, and I purposely keep the old pamphlets. So back in the day, people are like, man, that's old. You're right. But I want to show you that, guess what? I've been doing this, brother.
Oh, yeah, you've been getting it done. That's 2008 right there. Yeah.
For a minute. You feel me?
When you remember all that housing thing took place right around that time, and you was
exactly. So I used to go across the country, Chris, and I used to teach this program called 3 Steps to Success, which I still teach. And the first thing you see, business. The second thing, take that business dollar. The first one I earned, buy real estate. Then take that real estate and leverage the tax laws and then spend what's left.
So it puts you in a position where it's like John C. Bogle. You're reducing your expenses and your tax, your tax burden.
There you go.
Man, that's amazing, because most people focus on, let me get better operations, let me get a better product and a better widget. You're like, no, just operate better.
Exactly. I leverage the tax laws. So this is what I tell people, Chris. I said, I can teach you how to live like a millionaire with only $100,000 a year. And I say, you know how you do it? Because I did it first for myself. First thing, pay off all your consumable debt. Second thing, take your business and create revenue through real estate transactions, create digital products, and then leverage the tax laws. And once you do that, that $8,333 a month, which is equivalent to 100 grand, you have all your consumer debt paid off. And if you're lucky to have your house paid off, you don't have no expense. You can live on this planet, Chris. I'm gonna say it again, on this planet, that you can't live like a millionaire. Because even if you got $1 million house right now with a 2% interest, that's only going to give you like a $4,000 a month payment. Your tax bill probably going to be another $1,500 a month. So that's $5,500. Then if you had 2 kids, you probably got another $2,000. So that's $6,500. You still got $2,200 left to play with. Man, I don't think they heard me, bro.
I heard you. I heard you. Hey, rewind it and listen to that again if you didn't hear that.
Right. So let me share it to them again. So if you pay off all your consumable debt, I don't care if you're in LA or if you're in the DMV in DC, where prices are very much higher than in the Southwest. Okay. But if I pay off all my consumable debt and I just have a mortgage payment on $1 million house at 2%, that's only going to be about a $4,000 a month payment. Okay. Then I'm going to have my tax bill, which is going to be about $1,500, going to be about $30,000 a year in taxes. So that's $5,500. I got $8,300. That still leaves me with about $3 to $4 grand left to play with. Let's call it conservatively $2,500. I got a couple of expenses. I use another $1,500. I got $1 grand still to play with. And here's the thing. I've already done it, ladies and gentlemen. And I already done it for hundreds of people across the country. And the reason why I've done it, because guess what? Chase Bank is my official sponsor. They don't roll with just anybody.
That's true.
The state of Illinois Attorney General's office. If I wasn't who I was, you think I would go do business with them so they could actually put me in jail? No. So what I always like to show people, Chris, I said, hey man, just like you, work with the certified licensed professionals, not with the wannabes. Okay.
Exactly.
Work with the people who've been through. Like you said, I've been through 3 catastrophic events on this planet in my lifetime. 911. Matter of fact, it's 4. Y2K.
Yep. I remember that.
911, the Great Recession 2008, and now the pandemic. And guess what, Chris? Our business is continue to go upwards, not downwards. Because I got a system. I got 3 things you got to have as an entrepreneur: a system, a team, and a plan.
A system, a team, and a plan.
Yep.
So what would it take to get to that 8,333 mark? So you have a system, you have a team, you have a plan. Because I do the quick MBA for tech, and I teach technology professionals business, that not at your level, right? But just as best as I can as a tech person. So how would we be able to, what will we structure around these systems then?
Yeah. So the first thing is, I believe you have a digital course or a digital service you provide, correct?
Yes, sir. Digital real estate.
So that's part of your system right there on your passive income. Okay.
Oh.
Then you got the consultative part of your business, the one-on-one consultation,
Coaching.
right?
Okay.
So that's the second part. So you can actually make that into a passive stream of income as well. And you can actually evergreen it through like a webinar or a master class that repeats itself. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then as you're making that generational wealth and income, you now attach it to physical assets that'll pay you passive income. Okay. So if you make an extra 1,000 this month, instead of you just putting it in your savings or the stock market, you should go buy a piece of real estate, invest in another business. You see what I'm saying? Because that's going to pay you income. So just like you get contracts either with the government or private companies that pay you based on consultative services, and then they have a maintenance fee, right? So sometimes you set up the operation, the software, the CD with the computer design or the CRMs, and now that needs maintenance. That's a residual income. So you start building that residual base until you get up to the $8,333 a month. And why are you doing that, Chris? If you have debt, you pay down the debt instead of spending it on other frivolous things. And then here's another smart move that you do. Let's say you got that student loan. I can actually show people how to get rid of 6-figure student loans in 12 to 24 months through real estate.
Wow.
Because student loans, you can't bankruptcy out of student loan, but I can show you a technique that I did for myself and about 20, 30 people that are members of mine, that I actually showed them how to take their 6-figure student loan debt in 12 to 24 months and transfer it through real estate and totally be done. Pow, gone. And get the tax write-off at the same time.
So some people will say, well, I'm a technology professional, and I'm always working. And how would I have time to do all this? I'm not DJ the money coach, because you're like, you're like a giant.
Well, guess what? I didn't start out as a giant. I started out as a little guy, nobody. Remember, I had $60,000 worth of debt. I had a 525 credit score. But you know what I did have, Chris? I had a dream. And then I also had the wherewithal to study other successful businesses. Like you said, you read everything that Warren Buffett has written. So guess what? That 3 things I told you, systems. So if you don't have time to step back and create a system, how are you even successful in technology? Because technology is all about systems.
Yeah, you got to systematize and troubleshoot.
You know what I'm saying? So next thing I would tell them to get is get this book by Michael Gerber called E-Myth. And it talks about systems, responsibilities, and occupations. And this is the reason why 85% of first-year businesses go out of business, because they don't have a system. They don't know the responsibilities and the duties of wearing multiple hats. So when you just start out your business, like when I first started mine as a one guy, I wore all the hats. I was the janitor and the CEO. But I needed to identify, Chris, what was the responsibility of the janitor? To make sure the office looked clean. So when my people came in, they smelled good, the office looked good. It had a certain perception of professionalism.
Yes.
Once I got doing a janitor job, I knew how to hire the janitor. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
because now I knew what the duties and responsibilities that janitor had to do.
I get what you're saying. So you basically, the system allows you to run it like a business instead of you just winging it when something happens. Is that right?
Exactly. So in our master class, I usually show in a structure called selfishness versus business owner. And what I'm talking about is the entrepreneur think they're a one man or one woman show, which is stupidity, versus business systems. And I tell them, I said, you can make $1 million in a one man, one woman show, but something happens to you or somebody says something negative about you. What happens to your business? You get canceled, you're out of business. But if you got a business systems and you got multiple people working for you, virtual assistants and stuff like that, they can't cancel you. You see what I'm saying? So if you're that busy, guess what you need to do? You need to take a step back, get a plan, develop a team, get a system, and you will never have that problem saying, I'm too busy. Because you know what the motto of the Marines are? We get more done by 6 a.m. than people get done in a month.
Because you're thinking, you're
exactly
working smarter instead of working harder.
Exactly. You're a military guy. They call it span of control.
Mm-hmm.
Span of control, brother. You got a board, a CEO, you got directors, managers, employees. It's called a span of control, bro.
Yeah.
So if you're too busy, you are being, I have another saying that I teach my team. I said, we don't like activity, we like productivity. I'm gonna say it again. We don't like activity, we like productivity. What do people do in corporate America who don't like their job? They look busy, but they don't do nothing.
But they don't do anything. Yep, exactly. And they take credit for those who do.
Exactly. I'd rather take Chris that can get everything done in 3 hours versus Bill who's taking 8 hours to do nothing.
Yep.
So when somebody tells me busy, I say, okay, tell me what your priorities are. And I said, don't even tell me that. Tell me what you spend your money on, and I'll tell you what their priorities are.
Like Netflix. Then I went to Disney.
So when people tell me they broke and they tell me they got all this stuff that ain't getting their dreams accomplished, I say, because that's what your priorities are. They be like, oh, what? I said, well, here's the problem with America, because we're consumers and we've been taught to be consumers. We are taught to spend money on what we want, not what we need. I'm gonna say that again. We're taught to spend money on what we want, not what we need.
You know, I'm going like in a mindset and thinking when I wasn't literate, like financially literate, and everything you're saying, hey, show me what your priorities are. And so if you use the financial term investment, they don't realize that they're actually investing into Netflix. They're investing. You see what I'm saying? And that's that term, that ties into the consumer, right? They're investing in the things that are not giving them a return.
Exactly.
So that's what you're touching on.
Exactly. And we can't blame them from that because they've been indoctrinated that way. But once you get the, the matrix, red pill, now you know the difference. And now it's up to you to make change for your legacy. That's what separates everything from everything, is that once you have that aha moment. See, my aha moment was when I got turned down for that business loan. Now, I was hurt when I got turned down from the mortgage, but I knew I was embarking in a business, and my business was growing, Chris. I had a cleaning business that I took to 7 figures, and I knew I was going to change the narrative for my whole family because I'm making $1 million revenue. That means that anybody with my name after me, they weren't going to have to worry about money. So when I got turned down for that loan because I won this 7-figure contract, that stopped the ability for me to create multi-generational wealth for my family. That woke me up.
Wow. Oh, because
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You're basically saying, look, this is way bigger than you. And most people are just thinking about themselves because that's what consumption is. I mean, your children can't consume the Netflix you're watching. You know what I'm saying? But your children can consume a business that you build, and you leaving those systems and processes in place that can be hand off to them as long as you give them that right mind. Is that right?
Exactly. And here's the thing. And I'm talking to your technology people because I used to be in the technology world. You ever heard of this company called Vizio? Not the TV guys, but Vizio, the technology guys. They do computer and design. They're based out of Seattle, Washington. I used to work as a executive middle manager for a company called Systraw Software. Okay, Systraw Software used to do replications of computer and design. You know how they would do the long computer and design? So Systraw Software will replicate the hubs, the routers, and the switchers on a digital platform where we could do the job in 1/3 of the time instead of doing it on computer and design. So Vizio was a computer and design company, and they bought out Systraw Software. I broke all the sales records for Systraw Software, selling their software to the financial district in Wall Street.
Wow.
So then I took that and I went over and became technology service division president for an accounting firm. So I know your people in your industry.
Yeah, you understand. Yeah, you know what it's like.
Exactly. So here's what we have to teach them how to do. Now they get them certifications, start making that 6-figure. Hey, first thing first, start the right corporate structure.
Yes, sir.
Second thing is hire other people that you can teach them like you're doing, Chris, to get their certifications and have them work for your company while they're learning the process of getting certified. And you're starting to branch out and you go get contracts for them. and subcontract to them. That's duplication. That's how you get to that 83-33. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And then if you're wise, while you're doing that, you got your accountant, you got your legal advisor, and you got your financial coach like me. And now I'm getting you to the next level. So when you get that multi-contract with the government, that A8 certification, or you get that private contract with Chase like me, you can scale up. Because here's what Chase asked me. They say, hey man, if we give you 1,000 customers, can you actually service them if it's only you? And I showed them I could.
Scale, can you scale?
Because yeah, a lot of times they don't give you the business because you can't do it. They don't give you the business because you can't scale up and handle their capacity.
Wow. That's amazing.
So you got to be planning for success. You know what one of the biggest problems? I'm gonna tell you, this is the #1 problem in our community. Fear of success. You probably gonna find that hard to believe. We have people who are afraid of success.
How do you change that?
They either got an aha moment or it just never changes, Chris. That's the reality.
Oh,
and
so that's why
say, well, man, that's not true. Well, I can tell you.
I want to hear it.
Here's how I can tell you it's true.
Yes, sir.
Because if you're good at JumpStart Academy, why would you not see in JumpStart Academy as large as Amazon? Because if you saw it large as Amazon, you would start planning to put the pieces in place before you became Amazon. Because guess what? Jeff Bezos, he had a Trojan horse. He said he was selling you books, but y'all didn't know he was going to take over the whole retail world. That was his #1 agenda. Let me get an easy book. Everybody will buy, but then I'll get you buying everything online, groceries, food, toilet paper, everything. But if I told you that right off the grip, you probably weren't going to do business with me because you telling me you taking over the world. But I say, hey, take it out, Chris. I just want you to buy a book or two from me, bro.
Nobody's afraid.
But you weren't paying attention that he named it Amazon.
Oh, wow.
Amazon is what? The largest river in the world.
Yeah.
So if Chris wants JumpStart Academy to be large and you already got the skills, then start putting them in place. This is what Robert Kiyosaki says. We don't pay the professionals what they're worth, so we don't scale up. And Robert Kiyosaki had the same problem. He created the first Velcro wallet, made $2-3 million. He didn't even trademark it because he was being cheap. Came back to the same expo a year later. The dude beside him knocked off his product and trademarked it himself. Put Robert Kiyosaki right out of business.
Wow.
Yeah, man, facts. So if I'm running JumpStart Academy, guess what? Chris, you need to see it like a $1 billion company and then reverse engineer it and start putting the systems in place when you get there. Because guess what? You're going to have a Chase. You're going to have a Bank of America. You're going to have an 8A contract going to come up and say, man, Chris, we like you, brother. I'm going to give you a $40 million contract. And next question is, hey, man, do you have the capacity if I turn it on right now, you can service all of it? And you're going to have to tell them the truth, either yes or no. Most people going to lie and say, yeah, and then they'll take that chance. But then if they don't, not only you burn yourself, but you put yourself in legal position of trouble too.
Destroyed your reputation.
Exactly. So what I teach entrepreneurs, real entrepreneurship, how to run a real business, let's put these systems and silos in place right now, because if you are good at the individual, you can be good at the scale. But you got to believe that you deserve to have massive success.
Bingo, man. That's why I really wanted to connect with you, because I mean, I have the vision, but when I'm listening to you talk, my vision is too small.
There you go. Bro.
I read probably the books that you read, but you're thinking way bigger than me. And I'm like, how do I think like this? So how can we think like you? Great
question. Get around people like me.
Got it.
If you're the smartest guy in your group, you failing. I'm the dumbest guy in my inner circle, bro. And I don't have a humility problem. You understand? I'd rather be wealthy and dumb than intelligent and broke. I'm gonna say that again. I'd rather be wealthy and dumb than intelligent and broke. Let me bring it home to y'all again. Again, let's look at our counterpart. Have you ever had this experience with somebody less qualified than you that don't look like you, but they got promoted above you because they had access to relationships?
Yes, that's right.
And they were paid to learn, or you, matter of fact, had to train them at your job, and they became your boss.
Yes, sir.
And they dumb as rocks, but you know what? They smart as a fox because they get the opportunity.
Yeah, they got access.
There you go. And that's why I got this acronym. It's called STEAM that I created. Science, technology, entrepreneurship. A is for access and M is for mentorship. So for you to broaden your vision, you need to be around people like me. When I broaden my vision, I'm around people at the top of Chase.
Oh, I see what
See
you're
what I'm
saying.
saying? So not
Yeah.
only is it good for me to have a contract with Chase, but now I get around them and they tell me the billion-dollar deals they're doing, and I get my world
Oh,
expanded.
and you get to expand.
There you go. And then I bring
Okay.
it down to Chris. And then Chris brings it down to JumpStart Academy.
Hmm.
You
So
see
it's
how
like,
that works?
yeah,
So you
you
are
help other
5
people get they
people
want.
away from being a billionaire.
Wow. That's why I was just very curious why people who are highly successful, because people who are not highly successful, they kind of think like, okay, you succeeded, so why don't you just chill somewhere and just relax and just, let your money stack, and why don't you do that? Why do highly successful people think like you do?
Well, there's 3 phases we go through life.
Hmm.
Okay. The first phase is called struggle. Struggle is when you're trying to find your way, get your education, figure out what you're going to do in life. Everybody goes through that. Okay. The second phase, Chris, is success. And success is when you make whatever that income, 60,000, 100,000, 200,000 that you never achieved, but you know that's the American dream. And
Hmm.
most people stay there because they're selfish. But then people have what's called advocacy, vocation, got nothing to do with money. That's called significance. And so
Mm.
now that person is on a path and a journey to impact success for other people and help them get to their successful plateau in life. So people like us, I'm on the vacation of my advocacy. I don't need people's money. I'm already financially independent. I'm already debt free. I own a lot of assets. I'm creating legacy with my children. But I also know I need to give back the blessings to my community so we can raise up a better community collectively. So that's what I get up about, because I eat and sleep taking care of our people, not giving handouts, but hands up. And let me give you bring it a whole 180.
Yes, sir.
Literally 48 hours ago, Chris, a
Hmm.
young lady bought my basic package like you just invested in. She
Hmm.
retired from a corporate, the #1 telecommunication company in America. I can't tell you the name, but y'all know who I'm talking about,
Yes, sir.
right? She started working at the company when she was 20 years of age, just like an assistant, wasn't making hardly any money. She rose up through the ranks. And at 51, she put 30 years in, made 144,000. She said, hey, I gave this company all I got. I want to cash out. So the company said, okay, we're going to give you a retirement professional to work with. The professional takes her portfolio, Chris. You're not going to believe this, but this happens every day in America. And unfortunately, it's happened to a Black woman. So the guy sits her down. He represents a major financial service company. Starts with double M's. I leave it at that. Okay. He takes her portfolio, $1 million, Chris. He puts it in a variable universal life policy. He doesn't do a risk tolerance questionnaire on it because by law, there's a thing called liquidity and compliance, meaning that if you get a lump sum of cash from an employer to roll over to another investment vehicle, you have to have 30% of it that you need cash to live off of. The guy didn't even do that. He took all her money, Chris, put it into a variable universal life, 7-year surrender charge when she couldn't touch it. Now she told him, I'm not gonna work for the next 2 years. I'm just gonna enjoy my life. He took all her money, put it in his vehicle that she couldn't touch. She had a 401k also, 100,000. He didn't even address that. She depleted all of that, got toll, tax, fines, and everything just over the past 2 years. She just came through our program. We're getting her straightened out, and we're taking that guy, and he's gonna get fined, and we're gonna hopefully get him to lose his license.
Wow, he's just making money.
Yep. And you know why he did it? Because that very universal life policy pays 7% commission. So he made $70,000 for a 2-hour conversation. Not only he did that with her, he sat around her with 8 other people look just like her and rolled all their stuff over into. So he made $500,000 in 2 hours.
Uh,
And this is in 2020.
Man.
That's why people at my level continue to give back, because that could have been my mother.
I see what you're saying.
She's a single parent, got 2 daughters. That could have been my mother. Remember, I told you, my mother was a victim of predatory lending. My mother was a victim of identity theft. So I take that personally when people go after our people and prey on them. So it got nothing to do with the money. This is about vocation. Because in all honesty, I should be spending all my time talking to the Chase, the Bank of Americas, the UBS, and doing B2B deals, not talking to individuals, because I will get more accomplished with the B2B, because once I get their contract, I get all the employees. So when people ask me, Why am I working one-on-one? Because I used to be you. And I knew when I was you, there was nobody trying to help me. That's why when you keep seeing people keep driving like Warren Buffett and don't retire, because they're giving back. And sometimes people don't realize that they're giving back.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's like that an entitlement mindset without realizing that all this is just charitable service. You know, it's just like a certain level of maturity where I read this book, Man's Search for Meaning, where you're doing something just meaningful. That's fulfillment of something bigger than what money can. Because I mean, after you have money, I mean, what's next?
Yeah, I mean, and here's the reality. Everybody goes through New Rich. I've been there, done that, bought some silly stuff. Used to take my partners and friends out on vacations and everything. And the funny thing, as soon as I got my car repo back in late 90s, the cats that I was taking to the parties and clubbing, none of them helped me pay my car bill. I'm gonna say that again. None of them helped me pay my car bill. When I got turned down for a mortgage, none of them said, hey man, let me show you how to get a mortgage. But when it was like, hey man, let's go party on DJ's dollar, they all lined up, bro.
That's that circle that you have around you.
Yeah. So I got rid of all of them people. I grew up in the neighborhood that didn't make it like I made it. It wasn't nothing personal, but if you weren't elevating your game and you weren't trying to help our fellow man, I was done with that. I went through that phase of my life, and we all go through that. So again, for technology people that in the JumpStart Academy, if they're going to get the certifications that you're educating them how to get, they should set up a corporation immediately, and they should have a relationship with an accountant, an attorney, and a business coach like myself. They don't have to work with me, but that is the core foundation that they need to start with. And if they start from there, everything else will be gravy, because they'll start making heavy income. Because with any type of certification technology, you're making 6 figures, 400, 500,000 easy nowadays, because it's a high demand and low supply. But you're also going to pay monster taxes if you don't have the proper corporate structure. If you only taking it as a W-2, you're going to pay what's called alternative middle income tax. That's a hidden tax for high professionals that will charge you another 20% on your annual income that you're never getting back. And all you got to do is move from the S quadrant to the C quadrant, and you can recoup 35% of that 100 grand that you're giving up every year.
You know, some of the technology professionals, because I can hear them, they're kind of saying, well, you know, I work, I study all the time, and I just put it all in a 401k, and, you know, it is what it is. You know, I still don't see the need, you know, even though you made it very clear for us. I get it. What about those people who are just not getting it?
Okay, so guess what? This is when I say, hey, you know what, Chris, to that IT professional who say they just don't get it. I say, now, let me ask you this one question. Do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? Or do you want me to tell you what you need to know?
The DMARC.
So now, if they tell me, I want you to tell me what I need to know, then I take the gloves off and I tell you, number one, you're just lazy.
Bingo.
And number two, you're going to pay on the back end of your life, because and the back end of your life on that 401k, here's another thing that they don't know about. At age 72, 67, there's a thing called required minimum distributions. That is a tax that takes all the pre-tax dollars that they gave you tax-free for the first 20, 30 years, that they tax you on the back end to get the money back from you. So that high-end IT professional that says, oh, I just put mine in the 401k, I don't worry about it. Guess what? You have $2-3 million at 65, 67, you're going to get taxed 40%. So you're being lazy because you just don't have the time, or you're not worried, then you deserve what you get, because you will eventually fall off the cliff. You know what that used to be, this old Meineke commercial saying, you either pay us now or pay us later. So I'm going to tell you what you need to know up front. You may not like it, but that's your problem. But guess what? I'll save your life. You'll thank me later. So there's no excuses in the digital world now to be lazy like that. If you're making 6 figures, here's what you also have to do in perspective. You have to understand that out of 330 million tax filers in the United States of America, 20% individuals make $60,000. 10% make 100 grand. Wow. 5% make over 125,000 a year per individual. Wow. If you don't believe me, just go to irs.gov and check for yourself. So when you think you are high up on the hog and you're something special, you're special to you and your family, but you're not special to the IRS. You're not special to America. So you being naive, you deserve to get run over by that train. But if you're wise and say, you know what, let me take some wisdom from somebody that's already been there that'll be able to tell me the facts and not sugarcoat it so that I won't give up my 3 million at the age of 65 and give back a half of it because I didn't plan properly. Then you're the person that we work with. If not, hey man, I'll be more than happy to read your obituary.
I hear what you're saying.
That's real talk. You know, I'm not the person if you want it to be sugarcoated, but if you want it right and you want to be protected and you want the team to be around you and you want to win in retirement every time, like the top companies and the top people that you admire the most, we're the best in class. And that's what you want. Do you want to be Bill Belichick's friend at the New England Patriots, or do you want them championship 7 that he's won? You want them championships because they pay forever. Because
you have that brand and you planned. And well, I look at it like this. It's building that structure, you know, like building a commercial building so that you can add on because you know that foundation can handle more weight. You know, that's kind of how I see it. That's it. That's it in a nutshell, man. So I think if your people are ready, the master shows up. See, I had the fortunateness that the master showed up for me early. I didn't even listen to the master the first time because I was full of myself. You know, we're young and we're smart. We usually have hubris and ego, but then we have a humility point that happens in our life. And if you accept it, then you get better. And I always like to leave people with this little story. It's a little allegory. Okay. So it was this guy. We'll just call him Adam, right? So Adam said he had a dream and God told him there's going to be a tragic event happen, but Adam, I'm going to save you personally. And Adam said, okay, God, I hear you. So the next day, Chris, there's an announcement that there's a massive hurricane coming through like Katrina. So the announcement happens. They tell everybody to evacuate the town. Adam doesn't evacuate, right? So the floods come up. Adam's on his porch. Here comes a rowboat coming through. Hey, Adam, man, hop on in, man. This is the last boat out. Adam says, God told me personally last night he was going to save me personally. So thanks a lot, but I'm going to wait for God. So the boat rolls through, Chris, and then the waters go up to the top of the roof. You remember Katrina, people were writing, help us, save us. So Adam's up on top of the roof. A helicopter comes across, Chris, drop down the rope. Adam, this is it, brother. Hop on, get yourself saved. It's out of here. You're going to perish. Hey, man, I appreciate it, Chris, but God told me he was saving me personally. The hand of God going to come down, lift me up, right? Yes, sir. So all of a sudden, Adam wakes up the next day. He's at the pearly gates. There's Michael saying, Adam, it's good to see you, but you ain't supposed to be here this early. And Adam's like, man, why am I here? And Mike said, hey, you know what? God said he was going to take care. He said, yeah, but he told me he was going to come get me. He said, well, he told you there was a storm coming. They told you evacuate. That was one time God tapped you on the shoulder. He sent the boat when the flood through the city. And that was the second time he told you. The third time, he flew a helicopter across and dropped a line. And he said, Adam, come on up, son. He didn't say he was going to physically grab you. He said he was going to take care of you. He gave you 3 opportunities. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So my first opportunity of humility was, oh, I got turned down for my mortgage. I said, okay, no big deal. I'll keep moving. Didn't even address my credit situation, anything. 3 years later, I got turned down for my mortgage for my business. That's when it hit me. I didn't need the third one with the helicopter. I caught the boat. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you got the warning. You started learning. Exactly. So even though I was young, I got wise because the first lump hurt. The second one really bruised because I knew that was the legacy for my family. So for people in our community that are in the digital technology world that think they're making more money than anybody else and anybody in their family, and they don't need this other help, guess what? Don't be at it. Yeah, because you got to be responsible. And like you said, we have to measure ourselves differently. You know, when you were talking earlier, what I tell my children is that's the black tax. You understand that? And in my family, I had to pay that. You know what I mean? It's hard to level up when you're supporting consumers, you know, and unfortunately, people who do are the first ones that one of the first ones that succeed in their family. They don't learn this until they realize that, you know, I would have been better off, you know, just having my money and just putting it in the fire, you know, and just watching it burn. I'd have got warm. At least I got something out of it. You know what I'm saying? Because they're still doing the same thing, you know.
Right.
Before I was just supporting people who weren't heeding the warning.
Hey,
you know,
it happens, man. So, you know, you always got to be the person to swim upstream, and then God will find the people that your calling is to impact them and not worry about it. But they say, if you want to save the world, first world you got to save is internally for yourself.
You got to save yourself.
Then save your children. So what I decided to do for your group, I got a special program I want to offer them, if that's okay with you.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
So here's what we got to do. So since we've been 2 years in business on YouTube, but I've been in business for 20 years, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, we celebrate our 20th year anniversary next week being in business. So what we got is we created, Chris, is called 2 by 2 for 2. 2 years in business, we're going to give your people 2 master classes with us. That's going to be 2 hours master class teaching them about personal finance, business finance, and real estate. So you get 2 of those from us. I charge $900 per class per person for that. I'm going to give them 2 of those. I'm going to give them 2 consultations. One with me, which is a $1,500 charge. I charge $1,500 an hour for my time. And I get it all day in corporate America. If you don't believe I don't get it, just check my profile, my bio on LinkedIn. So I'm going to give them 2 consultations, one with me and a choice, either my CPA or my registered investment advisor or my systems person. And I'm going to give that what I normally charge for $2,100, Chris. I'm going to give it to them for $197. Whew. 90% off, brother, just for your people.
That's
and
amazing.
All they got to do, I think our manager gave you a link. All you got to do is show them the link. They can see a little testimonial from Chase Bank. They can see testimonials from people who look like us. I probably get 20, 30 video testimonials a month from people that are janitors to CEOs in middle-class America that look just like us, Chris. So for me having the pleasure and the honor of being on your program, we said we got to do something special for your people, and Father's Day is coming up as well. So I said, what better way to do that but give this away for practically nothing, because we've been blessed tremendously, Chris, and we just want to pass that on to your people if they see the value that we can help them. And let me say this to your people, Chris, that are watching this, even in the replay, that I don't need your money at all. Let me make that absolutely clear, because I do B2B deals. 90% of my life is in corporate America, doing airports, doing Houston Federal Reserve. I work with credit unions. I work with YMCA. So we stay busy, but the service and the avocation is to help our people one-on-one.
That's amazing. So one of the calls is, you know how you talk to somebody who's high profile like yourself, and they say, yeah, you're going to get on the phone with me, and then all of a sudden you end up with, you know, their assistant who's just as good as them, but you're waiting for that person. So they're really good to talk to you.
I'm glad you said that. I'm going to be the only person at my level that you actually will talk to first. I promise and guarantee you that, brother.
Okay. I
promise and guarantee you that. You can't find nobody that's bought any program that we ever offered that they haven't talked to me first. Matter of fact, it's a requirement, brother. It's a requirement. In order to talk to me, there's 2 things they have to do, or I will not talk to them. They have to fill out a budget sheet and a survey. And I think when you acquired the program you just got, you saw the download. That's exactly. If you don't fill out the budget sheet and the survey, no, you will not talk to me. Matter of fact, you won't talk to nobody on my team. But if you fill out that budget and that survey, which takes 2 minutes, you will get a calendar to plug in and schedule on my calendar, and you'll get 15, 30-minute session with me. And you will talk to me just like I'm talking to you over Zoom, and we'll go live. So I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another difference between me and the other guys, is that the guys at my level, I ain't nobody special, but I'm never going to forget who I am, where I came from. And I always got to think that, hey, my mom was a single parent, 2 kids, worked 2 jobs. My mother grew up in the projects. She worked herself out. She became a nurse, became a millionaire with her husband, and she taught me everything about serving our community. So I'm never going to stop being that person.
Awesome, man. That's beautiful. So we're at the end of this particular session, and is there any last thing you want to say to the people?
Oh yeah. So what I like to do is let them know how they can get in touch with us, and you'll be surprised, Chris, that people still like to call the 800 number that we have for 20 years. So I always give my 800 number, and I'm always surprised that we get 7, 8 calls every time. So they can reach us toll free at 395-3042, 866-395-3042. They can reach us on YouTube at DJ the Money Coach. That's all you got to do. DJ the Money Coach on YouTube, and on IG, it's at DJ the Money Coach. You can reach us there. And I always like to end the same way. I wish people a pom-pom lifestyle, Chris. That's plenty of money and peace of mind. Awesome. And we want them to come join us on the Beaches of the World Club in Zanzibar with me and Erica. We'll be going back to Zanzibar August 21st to August 30th. We actually bought a luxurious condominium resort in Zanzibar that we helping our people come join us and be investors with us.
That's beautiful. Well, I'm a part of your program, and I can't wait to be a part of the pom-pom lifestyle.
Absolutely, brother. Hey, I look forward to working with you immediately next week, okay?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Well, I thank you for having me on your program, and man, it's a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.